Welcome everybody to our third IALD Middle East session of 2024. Today we will be chatting with Camila and Pamela about the Islamic Arts Biennale, which is a project that won the Light Middle East Award this year. So welcome, ladies. First of all, I want to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available via the IALD YouTube channel. If you want to share questions with our guests, please write them down in the Q&A section and we will answer them towards the end of the interview. And for those of you who don't know us, the IALD is the International Association of Lighting Designers, and we focus on promoting the importance of lighting design in the construction industry around the world. If you are interested in becoming a member, you can visit our website at www.iald.org, or you can email us at middleeast@iald.me. So with that out of the way, let me introduce you our guests. Camila Blanco is an award-winning lighting designer and educator born in Rio de Janeiro. In her words, the warm embrace of sunlight gracing the city's architecture left an indelible mark on her soul, pushing her to pursue lighting as a career. Her journey into lighting design started in 2008, and in 2019 she joined forces with Glare, which was a move that allowed her to immerse into projects that span diverse cultures and typologies across the world. Today, she is the creative director at Glare, and she is involved with many other endeavors, such as being part of the Italian branch of Women in Lighting and teaching a variety of courses at Marangoni Institute. Thanks for joining us, Camila, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Our second guest is Pamela Cantatore, a lighting designer with 12 years of experience in architectural lighting and live events. She has experience in the design and creative process of a variety of projects, and she has managed numerous large-scale developments around the world. Today, she is the design manager at Glare. Welcome, Pamela.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can allow our guests to share theirs. And the first question is to you, Camila. Tell us a little bit about the story of the project. What was the concept? Where did it come from? Just tell us everything.
Okay, so first, thank you for having us. On behalf of Glare and our founders, we're extremely happy to share the story of the Islamic Arts Biennale. I think it's a project, and Pamela will be able to tell us more. It was a landmark for us as a company. As you know, we are a small design studio based in Dubai, a very young consultancy. And this was a huge opportunity for us to get involved in large-scale projects. So since the Tornado Tower, we have been upscaling our designs, and we're very, very happy to be able to talk to the IALD Middle East today. And the concept of the project is to embrace the architecture. So we had 3 pillars in which we based our lighting design. And for us was important that to use lighting as a media. So, this is a very important space for Muslims, for pilgrims. And for us as a design company, we wanted to be very respectful to that space, first of all, and to enhance the architecture in a way, mainly to talk and enhancing these finishes that were for us born in, let's say, from the sand of this special space. So as you said in the beginning, Pamela was the project manager for this project, and so probably she will give a better introduction for this.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Camila. Thank you. I think we need to do a step back because I'm not sure everybody knows where is this project located. So let's
Please
put
tell
this in
us.
context. We are in Jeddah, and this is the project for the Jeddah Islamic Arts Biennale, the first of its kind in the Middle East. So it was like, as Camilla was saying, was a landmark, not only in our career, but it was a landmark in the history of Saudi Arabia. We are next to the Hajj Terminal of King Abdullah Airport in Jeddah, which was built in 1981. It's not a common airport terminal because this was built, is a vast extensive outdoor space covered by this shading system, and it's very big and it's very impressive. And once you are there, you feel like very small, and you are like in this space that was not built with a religious purpose. It's not. It's just a space that was functional to welcome all the pilgrims that thousands and thousands reach Jeddah during their pilgrimage to the Mecca and the Medina. So it was a functional space, not a religious one, as I said. But of course, he has a very deep and spiritual identity. And so also the architecture of the Art Biennale, which is actually right next to it. It's like in the same plot. We had this plot of almost 40,000 square meters, organized in 20,000 square meters of covered space, so functional space. And the rest, the 20,000 square meters, was just landscaping, communication, viability, and pathwalks in between these buildings. So I think this is important to say because we are in a very special place. And the new architecture for the Biennale had, in the idea of the architect, which is a Geoforma studio based in Milan, was to create an architecture that was in dialogue, in a respectful dialogue and continuity with this architecture built in 1981. So it was like a game of, respect and building around it, and having a conversation with it, considering also that had to be a functional space for art installation, to have pavilions where every year there are different installations going on. So the main space that we can see here, it was developed into 12 clusters. Each cluster is one of these buildings we can see here, so different heights, but almost very geometric and simple shaped spaces. And these are 12 clusters. They were for different functions. We have exhibition pavilions, art pavilions, and we have theaters, we have food and beverages, and we have a mosque, prayer rooms, offices. So all these buildings host a specific function, but all of them are put together by this outdoor space that you can see here. So like the journey of the visitor is seamless from inside to outside. It's like a path that goes in a continuous way, like it's very fluid. And in the middle of the space, we can see this beautiful image that I really like. This is the space, the main plaza, where all these buildings are, facing. And this is a very shallow water feature that just has the main idea behind it is to reflect what's going on around it. And for us, as in our lighting concept, this was a strong point of reference. It was a strong, strong point, because we didn't want to enhance this water feature in any way, but we wanted this to work as a reflective element for the lighting that we had all around. So this is one point. And also, I think the other point we need to keep in mind that this space was built to host art installation, indoor and outdoor. So from our point of view, the job was to enhance the architecture, the features of the materials, the space, the connections, make it functional, make it safe, but also put it in a dialogue with the arts that was supposed to be there. So that's why we went for a very subtle, a very seamless, and a very balanced lighting, outdoor lighting. So the dialogue with the arts was, you know, balanced, and it was like the architecture was in the background to create a nice background for the arts that every time this space is going to host. So this to give you, you know, just a general idea of where we are and what's the purpose of this space and why and when it's being developed.
Yeah, so now that I see the images and now that you tell us the story, I can understand why the architecture is so minimalist, right? It's so
Yes.
simple. It's because it's all about the arts, like you say. And it's very obvious to me now that this water feature, it's meant to be this mirror, right? You can see it in every image, especially the evening shots. It just like exactly like you said, it reflects back what we see above the water. It's actually very interesting now that you explain all of this. I can understand the concept much better because when you share the images with me, I looked at them and I thought, "Oh, this is beautiful," but it didn't occur to me,
Yeah.
right? This is the reason why it was illuminated this way. So tell me about you mentioned this balance between architectural lighting and also highlighting artwork. So how do you achieve that? Either one of you can go
Mila?
for that.
Well, it's important for us to say that specifically exhibition lighting was not in our scope. So our scope was to treat the exhibition spaces with the most flexible scheme possible, because as the name says, Biennale happens every 2 years. So we don't know in 2025 when they're going to reopen what is the size of the artworks being displayed. So we had to imagine this indoor lighting scheme that was flexible enough and functional enough to house any kind of artwork exhibition. So we have developed a scheme that would work accordingly. Also thinking from our expertise, myself and Pamela, working in museums, especially here in Italy, thinking what is that we miss as lighting designers when we come to a new museum to do the installation. So that for us was one of the grounds. And thinking, well, the process of illuminating an artwork that starts way before us doing the exhibition on site. So way before we aim the light fixtures, this is a long process. For example, the artwork arrives with the curator, there is an examination. So there is a long process involving art. And how could us, having passed through that, how could we use that expertise to build the environment? Because it's something that never happens to us, that we get to design this sort of space. We just, usually we arrive with the projectors having to deal with the space itself. So it was a new and nice kind of let's say, exercise. So thinking of that and answering your question, how did we face that as a scope, was thinking of the future. So future proofing to any kind of exhibition that might happen. So we had layers of diffuse lighting, so we could allow people to work on building the exhibition. And then we have a track system, for example, that can allow the lighting designer to install their preferred projectors in the future.
Very interesting. Pamela, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, she mentioned the indoor lighting, and for the outdoor lighting, the concept was the same. let's say that the outdoor exhibition were happening mostly under these tents that you can see here. And so the buildings were creating like a background to this art exhibition. So the idea was just to wash the facade with a very warm tone of light. And so just to create a backdrop, not being imposing on the arts. So that was the main idea behind the architectural lighting related to the relationship with the arts.
Very interesting.
Especially also because there were some of these art installations, most of the time they also involve music and light effects, and so they are dynamics. So the idea was to create a very simple and subtle environment where to host and make the just the art important.
So would you consider the color temperature a challenge within the project? Like, did you have to go to site and test different color temperatures and different products, or was it just something that was decided from the beginning and it just carried through the project with no issues?
It's been decided since the beginning. It was a very clear requirement also from the client, especially from the client, but also from the architect. They had a vision about this because the use of the material was, the idea behind it was to create some architecture that was like coming from the sun. So these sandy color, very warm tones of light, they were just, like a normal consequence to our lighting. So yeah, that's what we've done. We followed the different inputs from the client and from the architects, from the stakeholders involved. And yeah, we didn't really have to do a lot of tests. We did, but we ended up choosing what at the beginning we thought it was appropriate for this architecture. Let's say that the main material is corrugated concrete that you can see. These buildings are made of, like big panels put together. And so very sandy color, very warm. And the same was compacted sand all over the pathwalks. Also the tone of the pavements are very warm. So that was the, just a part of the concept since the very beginning. And it works very well with this beautiful sunset as well. So yeah.
It does. It also creates, exactly, this image is perfect. It creates this contrast between the sky and the architecture, right? I mean, the blue really contrasts against the architecture. That's fantastic. So here's another question for you, because you just mentioned, Pamela, the stakeholders, the architects, and the whole team. So can you tell us a little bit about the collaboration? How did the collaboration between the teams happen so that you could achieve a successful lighting design?
The great thing is that we've been involved since the very beginning. As soon as the project was conceived, we were awarded as consultant for this project. So we were involved since the first few meetings. And so we were in the concept phase, and then the schematic and design and the construction phase. Let's say this was a design and build project, which was a big challenge. So the span of the project was very short, just a few months. And so all the phases, the inception of the project until the coming together and the life of the project was very short, like a blink of an eye, but it happened. And this is why I say we were very lucky to be involved from the very beginning, because so we could understand in a more faster way what was behind every choice, every architectural choice, every structural choice, everything. And we were able to say our ideas and work together and build this place together. Especially because our main goal was to create a very seamless lighting, glare-free, trying to mask the lighting as much as we could, use recessed fixtures, and we didn't want to have fixtures on site. We ended up using the poles because they were needed for functional reasons, but we did lots of studies about the glare and you know, the way this lighting was affecting the outdoor space. The thing that we are next to an airport, that was also very important to take into account. So yes, all this happened in a short time, but luckily from the very beginning, we were, our voice was heard at with everybody involved. So it was a very good process, I have to say, with many people involved. We are talking about the clients, the Diria Foundation, Biennale, the MOC, the Ministry of Culture. And then we had the project management, and then we had the architect, and then we had the engineering company, and then it was us. And then for the exhibition and landscaping, there was also OMA involved in this. So there were many people involved, and we managed to work all together and put every little bit that was needed to make a good project.
Every
So,
little
yeah.
bit of sand.
I think
So,
that, yeah,
Camila,
exactly.
yeah, I
no,
was
I
I
think
was gonna
I was
go ahead,
just
Camila,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
say, I think it's we've worked so nicely together, and we created this synergy between the three companies, that we are involved in other projects with the same design team. So I think that's a great indication of how successful this project is, not only for us involved in lighting design, but for the architecture and for the engineering and so on. So it's just we worked well as an engine. I think that's the main result of this project.
That's fantastic. And my question was actually going to be something that we discussed a little bit before the interview. So Camila, you were saying that you're in Italy and Pamela is in the UAE. So also the collaboration within your team, how did how did you manage that, given that you are all in different places around the world?
Work
I think
24
that's
hours?
yeah. I think
Yeah, you work
what
on different time zones. So
yeah.
yes, sorry, Camila. Yeah.
No, I
True.
think for us it's good that we're flexible as people, and that is the main characteristic to join Glare for sure.
Okay.
We have to be flexible and understanding. I think what is obviously a challenge is our availability, so trying to understand the client hours and our hours as well. But I think it's a plus that we are spread into so many places. So, for example, I'm in Milan. I live just a couple of blocks away from the architect, which for us is great because we don't
Oh,
necessarily
wow.
need to get online to solve a couple of issues that we might have. We can just pop to their offices. But as we're doing this on Zoom, that's amazing. We're all connected, so you don't need much. We just need a correct clock, and we're good to go.
Yeah, let's say
Yeah.
that all the other stakeholders involved, they were also in other part of the world. So we're talking about UK, we're talking about Italy, we're talking about Saudi, Lebanon, Oman. So yeah, of course, that's part of all the challenge, and also good management, and it's all part of the challenge. That's been a challenge, I have to say, because of course we cannot say it's easy, but it's doable. And what this brings is just brings different mind, different culture, different ideas in a new project. And no matter the distance, so this is the plus of the challenge. So we take the challenge very on board, because it brings back a lot. It brings back a
It
lot. Yeah.
does. And it comes with an
Yeah.
award, so that's great.
Yeah. And you manage,
Exactly,
we managed to work with the people that we really appreciate. And so distance is not an issue. And this is really a plus, I have to say.
So besides the challenges of coordinating the entire team, what other technical challenges do you feel like you had to face either during the design or during the installation? You did mention some of the concept challenges of trying to balance, the lighting for the architecture and the art, but were there any other technical challenges during, like I said, concept, design, or installation that you had to face?
Shall I answer, Camilla?
Sure.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I think I mentioned before, this was a design and project building. So the time constraint was huge. And with that came a lot, of course, of challenge in managing the procurement of all the fixtures in time, considering also the region we are working in, the skills of the people working there. So all this had to put together, like constraints to our project as well, to our choices. So yeah, this I would say there were challenges that we took on board, knowing that the time span of the project was very tight. And but we embraced it and we did it because this is the way we do. And so yeah, that I would say it's been a challenge. Of course, the shorter time you have, the more quick you have to respond to technical difficulties or any kind of issue that can arise one day to another. So yes, there were of course many of these, but we faced them, and it's that we had a set date for the opening, so there was no delay, there was no chance. We had to open that day, and the curtain had to go up, so we did it. There was no chance to delay anymore. So that was it, and we did it. Yeah.
Camila, do you want to add anything to that?
No, you mentioned the opening date, but I think what we were so surprised was to see that they extend. So Biennale was supposed to be open for 3 months, and they extended an extra month in May. And I went myself and Josie, our managing director, and we went to see it functioning, which was a huge surprise for us. The amount of people. So there are official data, but I think I don't want to say anything wrong, but over 1 million visitors in 3 months. So they extended, and it's very nice for us to see how the public embraced it, how Saudi Arabia opened up for us as a team, and how welcoming the culture is, and how everyone was just so happy to see, because we are for 500 years we have been seeing, for example, Leonardo paintings and Raffaello paintings and so on. For us was a great opportunity to view and showcase Islamic art, and how in their need we were to see something like this. It's something that was different and fresh for us non-Muslims as well. So this place for me is just a celebration of the amazing culture that we've seen there, and that we will be able to see in 2025 and 27 and so on, as much as this project goes on. I think if everyone has the opportunity to see it next January, definitely pay a visit to Jeddah. It's an amazing city. I fell in love completely. So totally worth it.
As a lighting designer, one of my favorite type of projects to design is outdoor lighting, precisely because it's open to everybody and everybody can
Exactly.
enjoy it. So I completely agree with that sense of joy and pride that you feel, Camila, because it is exactly
Definitely.
what I love about being able to design these kinds of spaces. So that's, it's great that you had the opportunity and you did such a great job at it. So you kind of touched a little bit on it, Camila, but I still want to find out from Pamela, what was your favorite thing about the project, whether the end result or the design process?
Can I say the design process?
Of course.
Yeah, I think for me it's been the best part. I was very tired at the end of it, to be honest, but I think I loved it because it gave me the chance to interact with amazing people and to learn a lot during the process, to challenge myself, to challenge the team. We had ups and downs, of course, during the work, but that's been, that for me is what makes a good project. And because also you bond more with the team and you learn so much that, yeah, that makes, of course, we're very happy with the result. I am very happy, but most of all, I'm happy about the process. And I think there's a lot to learn from every project. And this, especially for me, managing such a big size project, it's been really a great challenge and a great honor. So yes, for me, that was definitely the best part.
Fantastic. Camila, do you want to add anything to that? I think you touched a little bit on your favorite parts, but is there anything else that you want to add to that?
I think obviously the process was extremely tough for such a small period of time. So I have to say, my favorite part of it was seeing it live, and it's like opening something to forever. That there is a legacy on this. It's the first ever Islamic Biennale. So being part of the house of that is priceless. And seeing in this picture, for example, we've seen a gentleman sitting there. We got to experience so many kids running up and down this space, and so that for me is priceless. We see the project coming up to life is what we were built for. Our slogan is lighting up lives, so that's has to be our favorite part of the process.
Would you put this project then on your top 5 favorite projects that you've designed?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
possibly
very
number 1.
possibly number 1. I have to say my dearest was and still is the tornado Dune Plaza in Qatar, in Doha, because it was my baby from day one. So that was the very first one with Claire as a big project. But Biennale completely stole my heart, and Jada stole my heart. So yeah, top 1.
Fantastic.
Top 5, let's say. Yeah.
Pamela, for you, would this be in your top 5?
Oh, yes, definitely. And, the next one will also even be better, of course. But this for now is the top one. Yes.
Looking forward to the next one. Great.
Yes.
So I'm going to open it up to our audience. We already have a couple of questions that they want to ask. And here we have the first one. Mr. Asher Khan, senior lighting designer based in Jeddah. He says that he feels proud to be staying in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, after seeing this project won an award. So that's a big praise for you. And his question is, did you consider the glare protection and light pollution or dark sky, as this area is situated near the airport?
Yes, of course. I think I mentioned this before. And, in the outdoor lighting, this was one of the main goals we had to reach. Because the main idea also from the architects, the concept was to have this light that was coming from the ground. Like all these buildings are coming up from the ground, like made of this very warm and sunny material. So the idea was also that the light was, had this kind of effect. So we worked with recessed fixtures, uplighting the facade, very high facade. We are talking about, I think the highest was 15 meters or 18
Yeah,
meters.
we had
They had
17
all,
meters.
yeah, they had all different heights. And the requirement from the client was, I want every facade to be lit with a uniform amount of light. And of course, knowing we are next to an airport, knowing that, we have regulations to follow, this was a big challenge as well. So the choice of fixtures, the placement of the fixtures, and then the control system and everything else contributed to the final effect. And every piece was put together in order to respect those regulations and the constraints we had. So yes, that was clearly taken into account. It was a very important part of the design. Yes.
So, Pamela, following up on this question, we didn't actually talk about controls while we were discussing the project. So, was controls and the design and setup of controls, was that part of your scope? And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You mean lighting control?
Yes.
No, it was not a part of our scope, but we, we followed on it. We next to the MEP department. Yes, of course, we followed up and we worked together on this.
And
Yes.
setting up the scenes and light levels and dimming levels and all of that was all done by your team?
Yes. Yeah. The final setup. Yes.
How important, and sorry, before I go back to our audience questions, but how important is it for a project like this to be able to set up the scene and not leave it to somebody else?
It's very important because as far as I was saying, this was supposed to be the background for art. So he had to be flexible and he had to be, controllable, and that was important. So yeah, that's it. That's the only answer I can give. This was just on the back of a beautiful work of art, which was the main reason why this space exists. So so he had to be a constraint in our project and in our design. Yes.
It had to be perfect, basically, right?
Yeah. We tried
Great.
our best.
Well, Jordan has a question. I have a feeling that you touched on this a little bit more, but he did ask, what were some of the challenges aside from the time differences that you guys faced while working on this project? I'm not sure if he's talking about technical challenges or design challenges, but if there are any other challenges that you think you faced, maybe you can share it with us here.
I think
I mentioned the time
yeah.
constraint, the time span of the project. I think we had 9 months from the concept. Yeah, we started in April and we opened in January. So yeah.
Wow.
The time and of course the material procurement in such a short time, all the specifications and
the size
all
of the
this
project
was the size of a project as well. Yes. What else, Camilla? I think I mentioned
it's
all
that.
this
Yeah, you mentioned
before.
it all.
Yeah. But if you have with this Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Jordan.
Hello.
Jordan. If you have any other specific question, please ask. But in general, yes, these were the main challenges we had.
And
Timing.
actually, tied to that, I'm going to follow up on Jordan's questions. So how, in terms of the product delivery, how do you manage that in such a short time? Do you go to your trusted manufacturers and start talking to them right from the beginning? Or do you just know already, oh, I know this will be available, or maybe we have to go to a different kind of manufacturer? How do you manage that in a way that it allows you to meet the deadline of the project? And you don't have to give us your secrets. You can just tell us generically.
Exactly. In an
So
ideal world.
yeah, we started doing our specifications and choosing what was the best for the project. And in terms of requirements, in terms of what we needed to achieve what we wanted. And then, of course, we had to face the market. But with the contractor, there was a very open dialogue. And so we managed with them that know the markets in Saudi much better than us. So to lead the way, so we did responsible and very conscious choices. So I think the secret is to trust the end part of the project, so the contractor, because at the end of the day, it's all in their hands. The people working with them, the skills they have, and the material they are able to procure. So this constant dialogue was essential to understand what they could handle, how, when. Yeah, that's it. Of course, we started with ideas, and then slowly, we were putting them in perspective, in context. And so that's the only way I think it could work. Constant dialogue and constant be open to new ideas, new options, and not be tied to, the first idea we had, because things can evolve, the architecture evolve, things can change. We can manipulate details in order to make them work if there is a constraint. We can do all that in the process if we are involved from the very beginning. So yes, I think that's the recipe. Being involved a lighting designer from the very beginning and open a dialogue, and so everything can work out. And know where you are, which part of the world, what are your constraints. So all this is essential.
Camila, do you
Not
want to
to
add
have
to
bad
that?
surprises.
True.
No, I think that summarizes all. Understand the market and respect where you are working on. I think that's a key for the successful of the scheme.
Great. Well, another question from Azure. Can you mention the lighting brands that you used on the project?
I think I would
Maybe there are a
prefer
couple
not.
that you want to give them some credit. It's fine, by the way. Like I'm not
What do you
going
think,
to.
Camille? What do you think, Camille?
We did mention that for another award that we are. So
Okay, yes, go on.
Islamic Biennale has been shortlisted in other awards. So we say that this is Glaire's year, hopefully. And so we did work with Ideolux, Erco Iguzzini.
Yes. Yeah.
That's as much as
Yep.
I can remember.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. So you work with several different brands and brands that you trust, and
Yeah.
also brands that were available on the market, like you said before. Very important. Very important.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
as you can see, also international brand. So it's good to bring this kind of special expertise as well in this project. So special fixtures as well. So yes, from that point of view, it
Absolutely.
was interesting as well.
Great. Well, it seems like we are out of questions for today. So I want to thank you, both of you, for joining us today and telling
Thank you
us
very
this
much.
fascinating story. It's really great to have you in this space. I also want to thank all of the people that attended this ILD Middle East session. Our next interview will be on the 4th of April, and we're going to talk to Courtney Mark, who is the design director and founder of Studio Mark. So keep an eye on our LinkedIn page for the details. And as I said before, this interview was recorded, so I will be sharing the link to this recording so that you can access it later on. So keep an eye on our LinkedIn page for that as well. So once again, Camila, Pamela, thank you so much. Congratulations on that really well-deserved award. And I wish everybody a good afternoon.
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank you
having
very
us.
much.
Ciao.
Bye
Ciao.
bye.